commuter is on a morning train, looking out of the window when they spot something horrific in a Peckham park. As soon as they reach their destination, they will call the police. This is the story of 16-year-old schoolgirl Andrea Troupe. Andrea Troupe, born on the 15th of February 1967, to parents Teresa Dunn and Ignatius Troupe. She attended Silverthorne School, Albany Road, Walworth, and was in her final few weeks before she finished school. On Tuesday the 2nd of May 1983, it was just after the bank holiday and it had been raining all day. That morning, a school friend came round to 16-year-old Andrea's house to call for her to walk to school with her. Andrea lived on Pencraig Way in Peckham, but Andrea had not been seen that morning, so her sister Audrey went to check her room to see if maybe she was still in there. But she wasn't. They assumed that Andrea must have woken up early and left out for school already. It wouldn't be until the evening that they would get the devastating news of what really happened to Andrea. A commuter got on a morning train, the railway line between Denmark Hill and Penge, South London, on their way to Victoria Station. But crossing over the small bridge that crosses through Warwick Gardens, the train commuter was shocked and alarmed to see the body of a small girl with what was described as a small afro lying on the ground in the park from the train windows. The body was lying near the train railway line, and when the train passenger reached Victoria Station, they notified the police, which sparked a murder hunt. When 16-year-old Andrea had failed to come home from school, her mother Teresa contacted her son Paul Birchall, who was Andrea's older brother by 4 years, as he was 20 years old at the time of his sister's murder. Paul came round to the house on Pencraig Way in Peckham. They saw a news item on the telly describing that the body of a young girl had been found in Warwick Gardens Park, Lyndhurst Way, that day, and the girl had been stabbed to death. But they thought nothing of it at the time. 10 minutes after watching the news item, there was a knock at the door. It was the police saying that the body they'd found in the park was Andrea's. Paul insists that their mother Teresa did not let them outside after dark, so he theorised that Andrea must have snuck out of the house in the very early hours of Tuesday morning. The park was a mile away from their home, so he believes that Andrea had been picked up by someone in a car rather than travelled alone by foot. The body was found in Warwick Gardens, Lyndhurst Way, a park in Peckham, and police sealed off the area. At the time of her murder, Andrea had been wearing a wind cheater jacket over a red tracksuit and green and white trainers. 50 police cadets were called in from a training school at Hendon to search the park for clues and to try to find the murder weapon. During the inquest into Andrea's murder, it was revealed that she had been raped and stabbed 12 times in the neck and chest, the knife piercing her heart. Andrea's fingers had also been cut as she tried to defend herself from the frenzied attack. It was also revealed that, shockingly, Andrea was 8 months pregnant. She had hidden her pregnancy as she was too scared to tell her family. Andrea had a boyfriend at the time called Stephen, who was known to the family, but when police went to interview him, Stephen's mother would not allow for him to be interviewed. After the results of the post-mortem, Andrea's mother was said to have taken it really badly. The shock of her daughter being murdered in such a horrific way and the shock of a surprise pregnancy that no one knew about. The family were unaware at just how brutal the attack was until the inquest. 3 days after the murder, Andrea's mother, Teresa, spoke to a news station about her daughter's death.
She's got friends, just an ordinary girl, really. Love life,
Have you any idea who could have done a thing like this to her?
No idea at all. No.
How do you feel about it today, now you know?
Oh, shattered. Shattered. I can't think of anyone who would want to do such a thing to her,
Have you got anything you would say to her killer now?
Yes, I would ask, whoever it is to come forward, and so that my mind can be at rest, yeah.
Andrea's older brother Paul went back into work the day after his sister's horrific murder, but he was not in the right frame of mind and couldn't stop crying. He was sent home. In 2012, Andrea's niece, the daughter of her sister Audrey, wrote to police asking for her aunt's death to be looked into and reinvestigated, at which point she was told that in 1983, DNA investigations was not invented yet, so no DNA samples were taken from Andrea. 8 years after this, and 37 years after the murder of pregnant schoolgirl Andrea Troupe, her brother Paul Birchall contacted a local London newspaper in 2020, pleading for help to find her killers, and described the heartache and devastation Andrea's murder has brought on the family, especially his 76-year-old mother, saying, "Mum used to do everything in the house. She worked as a secretary and administrator for Freeman's mail order in Kennington. She used to be strong, but now she cries a lot of the time when looking at Andrea's picture. She's deteriorating and can't even go to the shops now. It is torturing her. She sits alone and cries. We want to find out something about what happened before she goes to her grave." Paul then went on to describe about how they think of all the scenarios that might have happened, saying it's terrible not knowing. One theory put forward by Andrea's family was that maybe she was seeing a married man who did not want to be revealed. If this theory is correct, then who could that man have been, since Andrea's brother states that their mother did not allow them outside after dark? She was still a schoolgirl going to school, so in between school and home and the local neighbourhood, would she have been meeting up with somebody secretly? At the time of her death, she was 8 months pregnant, meaning that she got pregnant at age just 15. At the time of her murder, the family say she had a boyfriend called Stephen. Not much is given about him, but Andrea's brother Paul states that the family don't believe he would have done it. But then why did Stephen's mother prevent him from being interviewed by the police? There was another person of interest. In 1991, double murderer Michael Smithyman, now known as Michelle in prison, confessed to the murder of 16-year-old Andrea. Michelle had been jailed in 1993 for killing his pregnant girlfriend, 22-year-old April Sheridan, in a field in Meopham, Kent, in January 1990. He drove her to the field and made her dig her own grave, then shot her in the back of the head to stop her from telling police about his crimes. He had also killed a drug dealer named Terry Yale in a gangland hit, then cut off his hands as proof that he murdered him. He confessed to a fellow inmate about how he'd also raped and murdered a pregnant 16-year-old schoolgirl named Andrea Troupe. But during the time that his parole was coming up, he denied having any recollection of ever confessing this, saying he was in prison at the time of the murder. Andrea's brother contacted Scotland Yard saying he wanted the killer questioned further, and also said that he doesn't know how Michelle would have had access to his sister. But police say that his claims were investigated, but no further or meaningful lines of inquiry were found. That was until an undercover police insider informant who had listened to the confessions admitted that the police team investigating the murder were abruptly ordered to halt their inquiries, with the head of the police team being told that his career would be in jeopardy unless he did what he was told. Michelle has been denied parole 3 times. Till this day, the murder of 8-month pregnant schoolgirl Andrea Troupe remains unsolved, and Andrea's family say that they have been trying to get the police to do something for years, with her brother Paul saying that if the police kept genetic samples from Andrea and the baby, there will be a way to find out who the unborn baby's father was. If you have any information at all about the murder of 16-year-old Andrea Troupe, no matter how small or insignificant, please call police on 101.